listening to my papa and my uncle Polly on the Co and Bro Opinion Show. Stay tuned.
Coming to you live, it's the Co and Bro Opinion Show. Now here are your hosts, Corey Tiez.
He may have advanced illusionary schizophrenia with involuntary narcissistic rage, but he is a very gentle person.
And the outsider, Scotty William.
God damn it, white boy.
You take forever to say nothing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Co and Bro Opinion Show right here on the Cavana Broadcast Network, My Michigan TV, and streaming live in very multiple places.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have multiple places to play.
Yeah.
And to have our content.
Yeah.
We have a lot in store for you tonight. Great show. We have coming up here in the next minute or so, Sassy Serotonin returns. The Spark Plug returns for her reality entertainment piece here on the show. Always a fan favorite. We have Charles T. Kraft. He will be in studio with us.
Nice.
As you know, today we had a active shooter incident in the Troy area, and Charlie knows a lot about the Troy area, but he also knows a lot about the situations that are arising quite frequently, unfortunately, with shooters and different things. We've talked to him before a couple years ago about this thing.
Yes,
it seems like it comes up at least once a year or so on the show. So we'll be talking to him a little bit later in studio with that. And then down a little after that, it's tax season, folks. And we have a guy. His name is Desmond Fulton from Fulton Core Services. He'll be joining us via Zoom, and he will have all the do's and don'ts here in the tax season, what to do, what not to do. And if you want to get in on the action, feel free to get your questions in the chat there, in the YouTube chat. We will see it, and we want to talk to you.
Fire away.
Fire away. So without further ado, do you want to bring Sass in?
Bring her in, man. Let's
All
go.
right.
Let's get it.
We will bring Sassy Sarah in. And Jared, I just wanted to, I know you have the Stream Deck set up here, but it is showing blank. But she's here. There she is.
Here.
There she is. Sassy Serotonin.
What's up, y'all?
Are you now? We haven't talked to you in quite a while, Sarah. Are you still in? I know you're in Texas, but I think you've been bebopping around down there.
I'm still in the H, babe. Still in the H.
You're still in
Houston all
Houston.
day.
I thought
Still
you were
in
coming back.
Houston.
I thought you were coming back.
Not. Of course not. Why would I come back? It's Houston all day.
You did say you were
every
coming
day.
back, Sass.
You know, I'm going to come back.
As she sits
for
there with
y'all.
the Michigan State Spartan shirt on.
Right.
You know, I love the colors, of course.
So how's life
I
treating you
love
down
it.
there? What's going on? How's work? How's mom? How's dad? How's family? How's it going down there?
It's going good. Same old,
Good.
same old. I think just like everybody else.
Okay.
You know, blessed,
Good,
highly
okay.
favored, working. That's all we can do is work and work
There
and
you go.
work.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You're not
Same
married
old,
again,
same
are
old.
you?
No.
Okay. Just
Are you
checking.
married? Can I
No.
see your hand?
No. All right.
All right.
You got any suitors?
No.
No.
No
Okay.
suitors yet?
No suitors. Okay.
No.
The overnight 2-hour knowing somebody wedding in Vegas, and that
No.
was it. Kind
I
of
think I packed my
made you
night
afraid
bag.
to jump back in there again.
No. It's dangerous out here. I'm going to pack my night bag, and I'm going to come back home. You know?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So, what do you have for us, reality entertainment news?
I know you have something. I know you keep up with everything.
So this
You-
is
we
in
do-
reality. It's in reality today, but it's drama. I think
Ah.
a little bit of sports going on, a little bit of everything we've been seeing lately.
Okay.
We have Quinta Brunson. She filed for divorce. So this may be her single era. She was married 3.5 years. The lady that produced and wrote Abbott Elementary.
Okay.
She filed for divorce. We also have Lizzo. My girl Lizzo lost a lot of weight. She's in her bag. She's in her weight loss era. I think skinny is just.
And I'm
back
going to say,
in.
Lizzo actually looks good with all that weight.
Yes, she does.
She does.
She
I
does.
seen a picture of her the other day. She looks good.
She does.
Okay, shout to
She
Lizzo.
also said that she's going to maintain that. She's not going to lose any more weight, but
She was embracing her fatness, but she decided to Ozempic herself. I think is that. Are
no
we saying
Ozempic. She's
No
not
Ozempic?
Christina Aguilera. She's not going to be Christina Aguilera. She's definitely worked it out. She says. And I believe
You
her.
know that for a fact.
What did she say?
Allegedly.
Yeah. What? Okay. What did she say?
Allegedly.
What did she say she did? Did she say anything? Did she get?
Right.
She
didn't
worked out?
Ozempic. She just worked out. No Ozempic. That's what she said.
Well, the telltale sign is her face. We'll probably have to get a picture to see because a lot of people get that Ozempic face.
Oh. Okay.
But
Okay.
especially with you lost a lot of weight. But anyways,
Now go back to the divorce. Who did she divorce? Not Lizzo, but
I don't want to say his name. He doesn't matter. She's gone. She keeps her privacy on lock. But all we care about is Quinta Brunson. She's the star here. He's not the star, the prize.
All right.
She's the voice. If y'all want to look him up, google.com.
okay.
Google.com.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
so we have Justin Bieber, Believers fans, Hailey Bieber. She's getting accused of being a stalker. She stalks him, and Bieber basically gave us some cryptic message on Instagram. And the social media basically explained how he's not happy at all. And it turns out she's been a stalker, allegedly, since
his
day
wife's
one.
been a stalker.
Hailey Bieber. He was married to Selena Gomez at first. And Hailey was always around. But I think her parents had a little bit of coin to afford her to, how the fans, they meet up with the paparazzi and things like that. So she's always been around. It's like little bitty videos of her always around at every show he was, every spot he was, restaurants, texting friends, hey, what restaurant he's at. And she backed him. So yeah.
Well, I'm lost. His wife now is stalking him?
No, she's been accused of being a stalker. She's a crazy
okay.
fan turned wife.
Wow.
So that's the
doesn't
accusation.
make
He's
any
not
sense.
happy.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
I
make
don't know
any
if that
sense.
makes any sense to me. How can your wife
It
be a
does.
stalker?
Because I think in entertainment, most people, get married like on business things or contracts. It's better to marry someone with money to keep things going. Family stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we also have this drama with a high school girl. She hit the sprinter with a baton on an accident or on purpose. So she's facing some backlash with that on the track field. She literally hit her in the back of her head. They say that she caused a concussion on her head.
You heard that story?
And she said that it wasn't. It's a track and field. Yes, track and field.
Track and
sprinter.
field. It was a. Was it high school or was it college?
High school. It was definitely high school.
They were running around the field, or running around the track.
Okay.
And they were coming around the curb, and she blatantly hit her in the back of the head with the baton of the girl that was right ahead of her, and the girl went flying. I think did she have a concussion?
At first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
They said she had a concussion at first.
But
I was trying my hardest to just try to be like, oh my God, it was an accident. But I think her intrusive thoughts got to her. Because if somebody's racing, like beating you, you just grab their shirt, like,
Right.
like, but I think she just hit her in the head because it's like, wait, you're beating me.
But you know what though? Did you hear her rebuttal? She said
This is all new to me.
She said allegedly that when they were coming around so close that when she was carrying the baton that she accidentally got caught up in her arm, but
She couldn't
to
pump
me the
back
tape
up.
doesn't lie. She whacked her.
Whacked her in the head.
whacked
She
her.
cocked her head back all the way from here to Africa and went boop, not once, twice. She said she couldn't wind back up. She couldn't pump back up. But
It was bad. That was bad.
it was bad. It
What
really
is the
was
world
bad.
coming to?
So next we have Bronny James. Basically some controversial for his first NBA season. he says people think I'm a fucking robot. Don't know if I can cuss or not. And I just feel like he's getting a lot of pressure because of his father and things like that.
He said he said people thinks that he's a
fucking robot.
A blanking robot.
A blanking robot. Okay.
Yeah.
Why
we're at the new studio, Sass. It's all right.
Why is he saying that, Sass? Sassafras?
Because I think he has a lot of people on his back. I guess his performance probably wasn't up to par or not.
Well, no, he stinks.
LeBron James. He stinks?
Yeah, he stinks. Yeah, he stinks.
Oh.
Well, the kid is...
But like he said, he's not a beat robot. Give him some slack. But nepotism is at an all-time high, though, right?
Well, I'm going to give him some slack. I think that the kid obviously has talent. He just needs to work more. He just needs to work, a little bit more. He's not... the pressure of obviously his dad is his dad. And, he wasn't a very good college kid. So that's the backlash that he wasn't a very good college basketball player. So now they just scoot him up. But like you said, it's LeBron James. So I want my son to play with me. That's what it was. But they're gonna always scrutinize him and always be on his back because of who he is. And I don't think that's very fair, but that's the life that we live in. So
right. Nepotism, 100%.
Yeah.
So last but not least, we have Anthony Edwards. He is caught up in multiple fraternity disputes with his baby mama,
Doesn't he have like 10
Howard.
kids?
Who is this?
Doesn't he have like 10 kids?
7,
That's
I
10.
believe.
Who is this?
That's Anthony Edwards, the star from Minnesota.
Look, don't be extra numbers. Don't be adding extra numbers. So also he filed some legal motions. He filed legal motions saying he does not want visitation or anything with his children. He also did state that he wanted an abortion when she told him about the pregnancy, and
ouch,
he wanted her to terminate it. So he's facing a lot of backlash for not being, an active father and just creating broken homes within the community.
Yeah.
Can I say this?
So he's being backlash for being a fool.
Right.
Basically.
But don't you think the problem here is the women that actually get with this fool and have babies?
Yeah.
Thinking of
100%.
how much money that he might make. But yeah, you want to bring
100%.
He's had, did you say what, he has 9 kids now? Do you think
I believe it's 7.
Did they know?
7 to 9 is the same. But
right.
No,
7 to 9.
Extra numbers for that man.
But the point of the matter is, though,
yeah,
I'm sure he wasn't a great father to the first 6.
And he wasn't, I think they just see money.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
It's a bad look for everybody, right? Don't you think, Sass?
It is.
Okay.
It's
Sass, would you want to be? Would you want to? Would you date him? Would you want a baby with a guy that's already has 10 kids? You being the young.
No.
One
you
kid?
I'm not gonna even. No.
You don't. You want to date a guy with no kids?
I come first. That's how hard it is for me. I come first. I come second to none. Why would I want to be a second baby mama when this is my first child? Is you crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Never give it that. It's never
well,
given it.
I'm glad you do have some sense on that, Sass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have common sense.
I mean, we had some, we thought differently of you when you're in the middle of the night wedding that you had in Vegas.
Yeah.
Now when you woke up and you were married.
Right, Sass. Don't go off and do that again. Anymore. So listen, Sass, we're gonna send you some papers, a contract. Our show is every Thursday. We need celebrity, entertainment, news, gossip, whatever you got every Thursday. Can you make it? And if you can't, let us know.
Can you make it?
Sass has been on top of it, though. In
Can
defense
you
of
make it?
Yeah,
Can you make it?
Yeah, every Thursday we're going to be here, Sass.
Of course. I'm going to be here. But, it took a lot of, I'm still a working woman. You know what I mean? I'm on the working class, right?
And entrepreneur, I know.
Yeah, I'm on the working
it.
class. So I made my time. I say, my bros need me back on the show. I'm excited. I have the energy, the time.
Yes.
Let's get this done. So I can sign some paperwork.
Okay, and tell your people to follow you. We love you. You make our show better.
We do?
So we got to have
you.
Yeah, Yes, you
Yeah.
got to have us on. You got to come on the show. This is serious.
All right. I'm glad
We
you
always
asked
have-
me.
we always
Oh
have a
my
good time
gosh.
with
So
you,
I'm
Sass.
definitely going to tell my people to follow you guys. Everybody's
Yeah.
so excited. I lost so many Instagram accounts because apparently I can never act right on social media. I don't know.
Well, that's true, Sass. That is true. I've
And I
seen your
love-
social media, Instagram, and
And I love
Can't
the
act right.
glasses. I love the look. I love the glasses look, the sweats, chilling. I love it. Natural.
Sass has been trying on clothing.
Yeah.
That's her new thing now on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Get
so
dressed
I'm
with
trying
me.
to get in my influence haul, you know.
okay.
The
For the tall
influencer.
girls. Shout out to the tall girls, 6
Shout out
foot
to
and
the tall
up,
girls.
I'm going to get 5'11". It's tens, 10s across the board. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But this is tall girl content. So, I just put on for the tall girls like me.
No doubt.
Yeah,
We love it.
no doubt.
Now,
We love you.
Sarah, before we let you go, I had an issue, and I wanted to tell Corey about this. The
What's
other
the
day,
issue?
you were saying you were craving Wingstop. You mean that's the best you could do in Houston? Is Wingstop for
Wingstop.
wings?
Wingstop is still open?
Of course. Did they close them down in Detroit?
I just don't.
That's not the first place
Yeah,
I
that's
think
not
of when
for
I say,
chicken.
"Hey, let's
Well,
go."
Y'all
to
got
down south.
wingdings. Don't
Isn't
y'all have
Wingstop
wingdings?
basically known for thighs now?
Rose.
Chicken tender?
Chicken tenders at Wingstop. Ross. Does Ross own the one you go to? Rose?
No.
Oh, no? Okay.
No.
Yeah,
I think his baby
that's-
mama said that he doesn't own none of his wing socks anymore. She called him a big back boar. She said that big back boar don't own anything. Tia Kemp. Shout out Tia Kemp. Tia Kemp. Shout out Tia Kemp for sure.
Okay.
But he doesn't own anything. But Wingstop is not all that I can do. It's just him. Wingstop is so easy and
Okay.
it's just easy,
Well, since it takes you 10 hours to get anywhere in Houston,
Yeah.
if you're going north, right? Is it north or south?
I'm north, but if I'm going south, it'll take 50 hours maybe with traffic.
Okay. And then one day we gotta fly you in so you can do the show live with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
whole show.
You can sit right here in between us,
Right.
right here.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for that.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay.
You don't have to drive 40
Anytime.
hours. Okay.
You don't have to drive straight through with no
It
sleep.
only takes me 20. It only takes me 20. 20. I do the dash.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the
Well, do you
dash
wanna-
now, y'all.
Do you want to plug something before we let you go, Sass?
You guys follow me on Instagram at I am Sarah Carell _ on Instagram. That's my only platform, you guys. Again, I can't act right for anything to keep a social media active, but I'm gonna try my hardest to keep this one active, okay? But that's my new Instagram. And shout out Scotty and Corey. Thank you so much for having me back. I really appreciate y'all. I miss
Thank
y'all.
you for coming. We
And
love
hand
you.
me that
Thank you.
contract so I can just sign the contract, the NDA, whatever.
Yes.
Corey will send it over certified mail.
We'll get it to you.
Certified mail. And we can go from there. But I'll see you guys next Thursday for sure. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay, sounds good,
Thank
Sass.
you,
All
you guys.
Be safe.
Thanks,
Have a
Sass.
good
Be safe.
one. Bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Sassy Sarah is back on the show.
She's back.
I'll tell you. Yeah. And guess what? Keeping up with that, I don't know. Should we go to the two shot? Yeah, let's go to the two shot. I got this stream deck in front of me now, and I'm trying to see how did we say we were going to get Charles in here? Was I going to scoot down, and I was going to go two?
Yeah, he's
on the
in-
wide
he's
shot?
in the
Or-
audience.
Yeah.
we're gonna
Charles
just
is
scoot-
here. I'm
Yeah.
gonna move down,
Right.
so Charles can make
Right.
his way, because he's one of our favorite guests we have on
Absolutely.
the show, a friend of the show, my bandmate.
Right.
Let's see, are we on?
Yeah, we're
that
good.
looks good.
Yeah.
There we go, Jared. That looks good. And we're all
Good,
in it
Jared?
together. We're all in it together.
There we go.
Perfect. Well, Charlie, thanks for coming on, buddy.
You're welcome,
I know he sat here patiently through the Sassy Sarah segment
Yeah.
and the Tigers.
Yep.
And Charles loves the Tigers.
He does.
He just didn't think he knew enough today to jump on, but we'll definitely have
Oh,
him
you'll be seeing
on
him.
the Tiger edition of the Roar.
Right. Right.
But one of the reasons I called you today is the big active shooter thing that happened in Troy
Well,
today.
Charles, introduce yourself. Tell
Yeah.
us your history and all the good
Introduce
stuff.
yourself, buddy.
Well, you
Great
said
guy.
my name is Charles Kraft. I'm
Right.
the retired police chief here in Troy, and subsequent to that, I was the director of the Macomb Community College Police Academy for several years.
Okay.
And subsequent to that, I've been doing some consulting in the area of law enforcement technology.
Okay. Yep. So definitely knows his stuff.
So
Experienced guy, smart guy.
I know when I called you today, you had talked to some people that you know. Is this a growing epidemic? Do you think all these active? And does the active shooter? What does that mean? That somebody's rolling around with a gun?
Yeah, and today's incident,
Okay.
and talk about this one specifically, was not really an active shooter.
Okay.
It was a targeted, I saw the police chief, current police chief on TV, and he very accurately described what happened. It was a targeted shooting. One young man targeted another young man and shot him, and then fled. When the call came in, they played the 911 call on TV news tonight. The caller from Beaumont Security said it was an active shooter. So obviously that there's a police response to that, and you can't. And they responded appropriately to that report. Once they were on the scene, they determined what had actually occurred, and it wasn't an active shooter. And when you say an active shooter, that is somebody who enters a facility, or it could be outdoors even for that matter, but is just indiscriminately shooting people. Okay. And moving with a weapon, shooting people as they go is the typical scenario. And this did not turn out to be that.
Okay. So, Charlie, let's stay before we get into the one-on-one of this young kid or shot the kid or whatever, let's go back to the active shooter. So you're the chief of police. You get that call. You're having your coffee in your office, whatever. You get that call. What is your first thing that you do?
Well,
as a chief?
really, the first
This is
thing
the active shooter.
The first thing that's done is by the responding officers.
Okay.
And here in Oakland County, where we're located, we've done a great deal of training, interagency training. This began many, many years ago, where we began to cross-train our officers on all departments in Oakland County on a protocol. So we have the same protocol for how do we respond to an active shooter. Also, because we have a radio system in Oakland County where we can all communicate on the same radio frequency. It's called the talk group now, but we can all talk to each other. We're not separated by different radio systems. We're able to merge those systems in. So we're way far advanced over what you find. It's very rare in the country to find such a coordinated response.
Okay.
So in these situations, as you know, the first real active shooter that really got people's attention was the Columbine shooting many years ago. And that response was, our response at that time was, we get there, we secure the perimeter, we call the SWAT team, okay? In the meantime, the shooter's wreaking havoc on the inside. So we realized in law enforcement that wasn't gonna work. We had to get there and do something. As a matter of fact, right after that incident, I talked to police officers that worked with me, and they told me, if I'm getting to a school and I know there's somebody and they're shooting, I'm not waiting. I'm going to go in and do something about it. I can't just sit outside. So we came up with, and there's been a lot of training about how to respond if you have 2 officers, 3 officers, 4 officers, or more. So there's certain protocols and formations and strategies that you use to do that. So when a call like that comes in, obviously the police chief's not the one that's going to respond first. It's going to be patrol officers, and they're really the people that do this work. And they show up, they follow the protocols, they gather information. And as you'll see, they released some body cam footage, Troy PD did today, and the officer immediately went in and took action, which also is why, if you'll watch that camera, that we have semi-automatic rifles in patrol cars now, so we can meet the firepower that we're going to encounter. In days past, it was simply a shotgun, although we still have that availability. So those officers are going to get there, they're going to quickly assess the situation, and they're going to make entry. If there's an active shooter in progress, they're going to make entry. They've got a strategy, and the great thing about what Oakland County has instituted, and I'll give a plug to my former department, the Troy Police Department. We were instrumental in pushing that concept, and the sheriff of Oakland County, very cooperative, Sheriff Bouchard. We were able to get every agency in the county cross-trained. So let's take the Troy Beaumont shooting. If you're familiar with the location of Troy Beaumont Hospital, it's at the corner, roughly at the corner of South Boulevard, which is 20 Mile Road, and DeQuinder. At that corner, on the southwest corner is Troy. The southeast corner is Sterling Heights.
I was gonna ask
the
you that.
northwest corner is Rochester Hills, and the northeast corner is Shelby Township.
I was going to ask you that.
So it's very, very possible that when a call like that comes out, it goes out to everybody, that the first 4 cars that get there are people from different jurisdictions.
So who's the lead?
Troy would be the lead. That would be their investigation. But when those officers get there, if they're cross-trained, like we would have been with the sheriff's people, the sheriff's staff, we know what to do. We can work together. We don't need to know who the officer doesn't need to know who that deputy is. He knows the formation, or she knows the formation and the strategy that's going to be employed, and they're going to do that.
Gotcha.
And that's the great thing about what's happened in Oakland County, and that's typically what happens. The chief from Troy said today that, suburban agencies and most police departments, when you get a call like that, do not have the staffing available to do everything. And we rely on calling other agencies.
Oh, okay.
Today, Sterling Heights was there, Clinton Township, Southfield, Bloomfield Township, Bloomfield Hills, Troy, Sterling Heights, the sheriff, Shelby, all these agencies show up and to contribute. But because we've cross-trained, they can all work together to do that. So that's the first thing that happens. And usually, as a chief, you respond to the scene, but we use a incident command system where we have a hierarchy of who's in charge of what, and there's an incident commander, there's an on-scene commander, there's a tactical commander. So we have methods of communicating that. So typically the chief's job would be in something like that might be the overall incident commander, but wouldn't be going in or anything, but and during my career, we did have one such shooting in Troy, and I responded to that. And when I got there, the officers had already deployed and had things well under control by the time I got there. And that's probably pretty much what happened today too.
I know it was at the hospital. I know you said that the hospital's in lockdown. How many officers respond to something like that? And does it take away from, like, obviously you don't know if that shooter is still on the property. Do you have a certain team that goes in? How many officers do you have to do that? That's a big property to take the search to see if that person is still there.
The number of officers, that would be there. It depends on how many are working at that particular time. But we go in, active shooter response and protocols are that we go in with very few officers. And there's a strategy and how we deploy and how we line up and the weaponry that we have and the equipment that we take, but we go right in. And what they do is they go to the gunshots. They listen and they go to wherever they hear the shooting at. So in this particular case, because it came in as an active shooter when they first got there, undoubtedly it's like all these scenes, there's great confusion.
Sure.
All right, tremendous confusion. a witness will tell you something that may or may not be accurate, so you can't rely on that. In this particular case, as it turns out, the shooter was gone when they got there. They did not know that. I think their preliminary information was, and probably from a witness who believed that's what they saw, that the shooter had re-entered the building, which created a whole nother problem, that they had to go into the building. And they were able to deduce fairly quickly that he was not there. But you respond as if he's in the building, and we don't wait for SWAT teams anymore. We don't wait for 10 officers. We can do it with 2 or 3 officers.
Okay.
If we get there, we can do it. And then if we have more officers, there's protocols and a formation and a strategy that the more people you have, you respond a little differently. And pretty much the goal is, once you go into, if it's an active shooter, that you go to where the shooting is, and you take out the shooter. That's the goal, to stop the carnage, you know. And with that, those are lessons learned from these horrific incidents that happened in the past, you know, that we realized we can't do that anymore.
Right.
What's changed? How has law enforcement changed in how it handles active shooters over the past decade or so?
Well, first of all, that we've developed a number of strategies of how to do it. All right, there's several strategies. In Oakland County, we've adopted a common one across all agencies, but there are other ones that are just as valid. So it's training, equipment, things such as, you know, semi-automatic rifles, body bunkers, which are the large shields that you've probably seen pulled up. Those kinds of pieces of equipment to go with the strategy, and then the training. As a matter of fact, Troy hosts, the city of Troy and police department and other agencies here in Troy, I think the largest active shooter conference in the country annually. So we bring police departments, and you bring in people who have experience, and you learn from what other people did right and what they did wrong. And we host that I think it's called the North American Active Shooter Conference. And so it's training and equipment are the two things. And there's a philosophy. There was a philosophical change that occurred many years ago after Columbine, was that we don't wait outside anymore. And there was a time that was the strategy. You wait until we get the SWAT team there. Well, that takes time. And during that time, guys still shooting on the inside.
So you mentioned earlier, like, it was Rochester, Troy. So if he bunkers down, so say if he's in the hospital, the shooter, he bunkers down into a room, and do you guys still do the negotiating, the lead, so that, like the Troy?
If you have, and Troy does.
Okay.
And Troy does. It depends on the agency.
Okay.
It depends on the police department. If you're a larger agency like Troy or the sheriff or the other ones that were there, then they do have hostage negotiators and SWAT teams and all of the equipment necessary. Some of the smaller places that are around don't have that capability, and the sheriff's office will provide that, or they can call on through mutual aid. We have mutual aid agreements that we've signed with all agencies. You can get another agency to fill that role for you. But in fact, what happened in this particular case was, when the shooter fled, he fled to his parents' home, which was in Macomb Township. And they quickly figured out that's where he was, and they went there, and they brought all the resources to secure the area, warn the neighbors, and then enter into a negotiation, which is my understanding is he voluntarily quickly came out. All right. But all those things were in place. You prepare for the worst and you hope for the best, you know. And you have the necessary force there to deal with whatever comes up.
Charlie, I know it's a crazy, chaotic situation when these shooters come into existence, so to speak. As a regular civilian, if you're in a mall or in a hospital like this, what is your recommendation on what the people can do to kind of get out of the harm's way, if possible, and to not get in the police's way?
Well, situational awareness, knowing where you are. I mean, I talk, my children who are adults now will tell me that when they go somewhere, they look where the exits are. It just becomes second nature to you. So you're situationally aware and you're watching it. And, the theory is for if you find yourself, generally accepted practices, the run, hide, fight. You've probably heard that.
They were saying that this morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is you get out of there. Extract yourself from the situation if you can. If you can't get out, you hide. And if all else fails, you have to fight back. And that's what, it's a very simple theory, but it's very...
They were saying that this morning.
It's basic, but that's what you have to do. So in those situations, you're in a mall, you don't have to know where you are.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to get out. To a movie theater, you know where the exit doors are. You wonder why. I don't know any police officers, active or retired, that go into restaurants or places and willingly sit with their back to the door. Okay, it's just so ingrained in you. Now, if there's two of you, someone's sitting with the back to the door. You're not going to sit next to each other in a booth or at the table. But it's just it's a built-in thing. But that's also true for civilians. Just know where you're at, and watch people and be aware of it. And it's unfortunate we have to live that way, but that's the current environment that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, it's too bad. So what's next so now you're the chief. Put your chief shoes, chief hat back on. Do you think Corwell, are they going to react and change things? Like, do you think, it's a hospital, people come in and visit their loved ones. But is this going to, we react to things.
And do they work, obviously they have their own security protocols. Do they work in training with local law enforcement, or is this something privately they might do?
They employ their own security people, and there's different levels of security at different hospitals.
Are we looking at gun? Are we looking at metal detector? What are we doing?
Many of them have that. But, here was as the news broke this morning, and I was thinking this thing through, I'm thinking this is a logistical nightmare for the police agency, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
How many entrances and exits are there to that hospital? There's doors all over the place. You've got towers that aren't connected to each other. You've got in this particular hospital, you've got a bridge walkway across DeQuinder to another medical building.
Yes.
And while this is going on, there are surgeries in progress.
Yes.
There's an emergency room that's functioning with emergencies full of people. If you've ever been to an emergency room lately, they're full of people. And you've got all this treatment going on, and patients, there's certain things in the hospital you can stop. Like you could stop food service delivery. You can stop certain things. There's certain things they cannot stop doing to take care of people. So it was I was just thinking logistically to search that kind of a building that you guys have been in a hospital.
Yes.
How do you find your way around? It's very difficult, right?
It is.
So, and you're going into a place that you don't really know. As a matter of fact, you can go to a very large hospital. You can ask an employee where something's at, and they go, I'm sorry, I don't know.
Right.
Because they don't go there. So there's that logistical problem. And in terms of security, various hospitals have adopted different security protocols. For instance, in Detroit, the ones I'm familiar with would be Henry Ford and the Detroit Medical Center, major, excellent health places to go. But they have they send their security officers through a course that's through the state of Michigan, which is less than a police academy, but greater than no training at all. And they carry weapons. They have limited arrest powers under certain situations. I think it's Public Act 330 that authorizes them to do that. And there's other agencies that their security people don't carry guns. There's liability concerns and training concerns and so on and so forth. In this particular case, it happened in the parking structure, as it appears that these two individuals were showing up for work in the morning. And someone asked me.
So these two worked?
They
This-
worked.
the gentleman worked.
They worked
shooter
together. They knew.
Oh,
It turns
wow.
out they knew each other.
Wow.
There was some sort of a disagreement, obviously, between the two of them.
Right.
They haven't said what that is as of yet, but obviously, it was severe enough that this one guy shot the other one. So, but he encountered him in the parking structure. We had this discussion. Metal detectors, all the things in the world, we're going to do anything about that. You're not going to stop that one.
Right.
All right. In the terms of metal detectors, it's a hospital. That there's so many ways in and out of a hospital that poses a logistical problem. Although, they do it for football games and baseball games and all kinds of things like that. So it can be accomplished, but that's what the hospital, it's for the hospital administration, I think, if they undertake that expense, but in this particular case, it wouldn't have made any difference at all, none, in this particular case.
Okay. Because, I didn't follow it, but after I saw the initial, but go ahead, Scott.
One last question before I let you go, Joe. Civilians, is there anything that civilians can do in regards to training that they could go to for local law, maybe local law enforcement, or maybe certain classes maybe they might have at colleges to maybe help them to keep your family safe?
Gun
keep your
range.
friends safe?
There are many police agencies that host trainings on what to do in case of an active
really?
shooter
Okay.
and how to respond. Many. And if somebody's interested, always reach out to your local police department and ask them about
Okay.
that training. And if it's, I know that in Troy, they've done that training from time to time.
That's a good question.
But also the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, very large department, will provide that kind of training. And even in most agencies, they have officers that are trained. If you get a group of people together, a school group or a neighbor group, they're more than happy to come out and address a group of people and give you those tips, and things you can do. It's, it is a very scary thing. We all get very frightened after these things happen.
Sure.
And then we tend to fall back,
yeah.
like everything else. We fall back to a little bit of complacency. But there are, the things that we were talking about earlier, situational awareness. If somebody's just acting and you do have gut feelings. Sure. Don't confront people. Just leave.
Yeah.
If you're feeling that uncomfortable, just
leave, yeah.
excuse yourself from the situation. This doesn't feel right to me.
Right.
And it's unfortunately, and it happens in our country, I know more probably than other, but it happens all over the world if you read. I mean, there've been all over the world these
Yeah.
kinds of things that
Yeah.
happen. And I don't know what the answer to all this is, but those are things you can do to protect yourself, I think. The best case scenario. Today's situation was handled, when I watched it on TV and I talked to a few people, it was handled very, very well and very professionally.
Good. Good.
That's great.
Good.
Well, we have Charles T. Kraft here in our studio with us on the show, a friend of the show. Charlie, you want to plug anything? I know we got a big gig coming up.
Yes, we do.
End that on a good note.
Yeah.
Well, let's see, Saturday, March the 29th, the Lumberyard Pub and Grub, located on Shaner, just south of I-696 in the beautiful city of Warren, Michigan. Our band will be playing from 6 till 10. And it's a great place, great food, great drink. And as we like to say, Scotty, it's the music
you know and love.
you know and love. And we will be playing that, and which it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And you can follow us on Facebook at Highway 23 Music, and all of our jobs are listed on there.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's a good time, and that's a good time too. 6 to 10. That's perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
Not too late.
do you know
Not too
what?
late.
It is a great
It's a great, especially when you get when you get over that 50 mark.
Yeah, that's a good time, man. 6 and 10.
Scotty will tell you that we've played in places, and I've talked to the owners of these places, and I said, we played until midnight or 1, and the only people are left are people that should have gone home a long time ago. They're the only ones left, and you look at them, and it can be a little frightening, And you say, please, I hope they're not driving cars, I hope they're
We've seen some things.
we have seen some things over the years.
Good times. Good times.
Well, listen, we have our tax consultant, Des Fulton, coming in the studio. Did you want to stick around, or you
zooming in?
I'm all set. Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
I appreciate you,
Thank you,
Charlie.
Always
We'll
good to
see
see
you
you
soon,
guys.
yes.
Yeah, and I'll see you next week. I'll see you Monday.
I'll see you Monday night.
All right. Thank
Charles
you.
T. Kraft here on the show. I'm going to move back over this way. We like to move around here on the show. Why not, right?
Yeah.
Keep it a little exciting.
Yeah. Keep it moving.
So it is tax season, everyone,
Tax season.
as you know, and on the Zoom right now is Desmond Fulton from Fulton Core Tax Services. Am I correct in saying that? Can you hear me, Des?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you,
we
buddy.
can hear you. We can hear you.
How y'all doing? Yeah, it's the company name Fulton Core Services. You was 95% there, Scott.
Oh, I appreciate that, buddy. So listen, I know I'm late in doing my taxes this year. Give us a little background of your tax experience.
Yeah, so I started the company during 2020, but a little bit furthermore in my background, went to school for accounting, was always around numbers a lot, and then it's funny, when I graduated from college, one of my mother's friends, who's considered an aunt, she was like, "Hey, you should do taxes," and I was like, "God, they don't go hand in hand." Kind of, what I went to school for, and I just didn't really think of it to be something that I wanted to do. And then, just strange enough, I just started randomly educating myself on tax laws and taxes and everything like that. And I said, "Hey, man, let's just take a leap of faith." And I started the company, and it's been going good ever since.
That's what's happening.
Well, I know a lot of people out there don't know certain tax laws, and I know you probably seen over the past few years of doing taxes, people making mistakes. What is the most common mistakes people make when filing their taxes?
The most common mistake that I see a lot of people make is that a lot of people don't have enough taxes withheld. A lot of people try to go exempt, and they get the expectation that oh, when I file taxes, I'm expecting a refund. But it's you can't expect a refund when you don't pay out enough taxes throughout the year, right? Okay. So that's the most common mistake that I see a lot of people make with their when filing taxes. Another common mistake, which is a lot of people try to aim to get a refund, right? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with getting a refund, right? If you paid enough in taxes or you qualify for the tax credits, when you go to file your tax return, it usually results in a refund, right? But the name of the game, what you really want to get at is that you want to break even, where essentially you paid enough taxes throughout the year that you don't owe the IRS anything. And then on the other hand is that you paid enough taxes, but you still was able to take home enough amount of money, essentially, so that you break even. Because think of it this way, right? A refund is basically saying hey, I'm overpaying the taxes, giving the IRS an interest-free loan throughout the whole year, and then I'm getting it back at tax time. Then on the flip side, the IRS is not going to give you an interest-free refund, basically. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying don't overpay your taxes if you don't have to. The name of the game is just to break even so that you don't have to pay taxes at the end of the day.
Oh, okay.
What can small business owners, how can they maximize their deductions legally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legally.
That's a good question. The biggest thing that I see with a lot of small business owners is that a lot of them, they don't, to be honest with you, they're not organized, or they don't have the bookkeeping in place to like allow them to see their numbers and see what they're bringing in versus like what they're paying or anything like that. So they don't have a good understanding of like, hey, I'm either making too much money and I need to maximize on my deductions, right? Like if I'm buying equipment or if I purchased a vehicle car that's related to the business, taking advantage of like the depreciation expense basically to write off that vehicle. Or the main thing that I see a lot of business owners or mistakes that they make is that they're just not organized and they don't have the bookkeeping in place to have them organized. So when it comes time for them to file taxes, their stuff is like kind of just all over the place.
Oh, okay.
Because they lack organization.
Yeah. Wow.
What recent is there any recent tax law changes that people should be aware of out there right now?
I mean, they consistently change a lot. You know, I don't want to kind of go into too much detail about it. I mean, because it's on the IRS website, right? And so that's what's crazy. Like the education is out there. A lot of people just don't go fishing for it at the end of the day, right? But tax laws, they change every year, right? They have to get passed by Congress and everything like that. But they fluctuate from time to time. But like kind of the most common one that most individuals will qualify for is you got the child tax credit, you got the earned income tax credit, you got education credits if you're a student. So those are like some of the common tax credits that like they've been around for years, but the amounts may fluctuate year after year. You might get higher benefits, or they may decrease year over year. It just depends on like what tax bill was passed and approved for that year.
Okay.
Are there one more question before I
go ahead.
Is there any overlooked tax credits that, let's say, individuals or businesses should take advantage of?
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, Scott. Maximizing like retirement contribution. A lot of people don't do that. And that's a huge tax benefit if you take advantage of it, right? Like basically just maximizing, putting enough money that you can towards like 401ks, Roth accounts, IRAs, other accounts that people could maximize that they don't take advantage of is flexible spending accounts or health savings accounts.
Okay.
You got anything for me?
Yeah. So we know April 15th, right? So when do you get hit? You get hit December, January, February. When do you get hit? Like what's the busiest month? And are you educating and doing the taxes? Do you find that you're educating and doing the taxes at the same time, or are you just getting the taxes done and getting those refunds out?
That's a good question. So, like in the fall, it's kind of when like the preparation really started with the whole educating myself, like taking courses to like prepare for the upcoming tax season and learning about the new tax laws, right?
Okay.
And familiarizing yourself with like, certain tax forms that you probably never experienced with before, especially when dealing with like new customers. You got, because there's so many different like business types, right? You got a partnership, you got an S corp, a C corp, or regular LLC, right? And depending on those type of like business structures, they get taxed differently, and they have different tax forms that you got to familiarize yourself with, right? So I would say it starts in the fall, and then work my way through the winter, and then obviously usually like the end of January, the IRS will say, "Hey, we're now accepting tax returns." A lot of people still waiting on a lot of their forms to come through. So I say the busiest month for me is usually March or April.
Okay.
Like I get hit with an avalanche of like everybody coming in with like, I need to file my taxes. So I kind of prepare myself for it. But for the most part, I got a lot of customers and a lot of business owners who already got their stuff together. They've been well organized, and once they get all their stuff, they firing it off. Like, let's go ahead and file the tax return. I got everything that I need to get it done. So.
Okay. Do you rush? Like, are people like rush it? Like, what's the return? Like, I want taxes back. I want my refund tomorrow. Like, can you, like, I know some companies will promise a day or the next day or 2 days. Are you equipped to do that? Do you know how that goes?
Yeah. So I think I know what you're talking about. So a lot of people. So my company, we do offer advances, like refund advances. That's essentially what most people kind of request. Like they'll file their taxes, they know that they're getting a refund, so they'll request an advance basically for that. So, but generally speaking, it could take up to like 21 days from when the IRS received the tax return for them to review everything and kind of approve it, basically.
Okay.
Sometimes I've seen returns get processed and approved within like 7 to 10 days, basically. It just depends on, it depends on if the return is like simple or complex. And it just also depends on like which, which IRS person is reviewing it, right? We don't have that
Okay.
we don't really have that visibility into like who's getting it and who's the person that's taking a look at it. They're all just going
Okay.
to a central place with the IRS, and like I said, it could just vary. But the longest that they'll tell you is like when you electronically file a tax return, it could take up to 21 days.
21 days. Okay. Okay. So now, I know you're latecomers. So if I don't get in by the 15th, what's my date? Like, how much time I got?
Yeah.
If I don't get my taxes to you by the 15th, how much time I got?
So the tax deadline is usually April 15th, right?
Right.
But then you can file an extension, right? If you don't have
Okay.
everything together, or I've seen it in cases where like I prepare people tax returns and they're like, they may potentially owe the IRS, right? And they're like, I don't have it all right then and there. So they might want to file an extension to like go ahead and start putting that money to the side. And then when it's time, when they got all the money ready to pay off that balance, they're like, hey, let's go ahead and basically file the tax return. But basically, if you don't have everything prepared to file by the tax deadline, you can file an extension before April 15th, right? That extension will allow you to October 15th to file that tax return before you completely late and incurring like penalties and everything like that with the IRS.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Well, everybody hates the dreaded word audit.
Yeah.
What's the best way to prepare for a potential audit?
That's a good question. Because it's like you never know when it's gonna happen, right? It's just you could just be part of a random pool that the IRS would be like, hey, they get your return and they just want to run a random pool. The best advice, or what I kind of recommend people for like in the event if they ever audit, is just always have your paperwork organized. Keep a good track of all your receipts, your bank statements, everything that's just tied to like anything that you're gonna claim or file on your tax return. You want to have it stored somewhere and organized and just ready to just send back to the IRS if you was to ever receive an audit letter. And then like for most businesses, I think like with them having like a bookkeeper handy, like that kind of helps them have everything organized so they can continue to focus on like their business while they have their bookkeeper handle all their accounting stuff, get all their stuff organized. And then that accountant or CPA, that person may have the authority to speak with the IRS on behalf of your tax return with your approval, and you're signing off on like a delegated form or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Well, let me ask you something. I know taxes can be exciting, especially if you're a numbers guy. But what's the most unusual tax deduction you've ever seen?
Unusual. I think, man. I think I had a client like deduct like or report like a business loss of like almost like 40,000, right? Now, when I spoke with the person, I said, hey, just to be clear, like just make sure that you have everything together, right? Just in the event that like if you ever were to get audited, just make sure you have everything together, basically. And they deduct like almost like 40,000, and crazy enough, it was actually approved by the IRS too. Then they didn't get like 40,000 back in a refund, but they were able to deduct $40,000 worth of business expenses, which ended in a refund for them eventually. So.
Wow. So yeah. So donations. Like, school me on. So I got a lot of clothes. I want to donate. He has a lot of clothes. My sister.
My wife's got a lot of clothes.
Yeah, his wife has a lot of clothes. Can I get anything back from that? Like, can if I take like 10,000 blazers up to St. Vincent and donate them? Like, how does that work, Des?
So you get. Yes, donations are a big piece, but it's really more on like the cash donations. So like the
Is it
current,
capped off? Is it you can only have so much?
Oh, okay.
yeah. So the current
Okay.
tax law is $300 of like
Oh,
cash
okay.
donations that you can basically itemize. So it's funny that you bring up the donations thing, right? So because I run into this a lot with a lot of people, with filing taxes, right? So charitable donations, like I said, the max is like $300, right? And essentially, you only can really claim those deductions when you're trying to do the itemized deduction piece rather than the standard deduction, right? So with the standard deduction, that's basically the IRS saying, hey, I'm already giving you a credit or deduction based on whatever tax status you're filing as. Whether if you're
Okay.
filing as single, married, filing jointly, or separately, head of household, I'm already giving you this deduction, right? So when people try to like tack on the contributions, like the charitable contributions, a lot of times you're not able to like really claim those because, like I was saying, you're already getting a standard deduction from the IRS. The only
Gotcha.
time like that's really beneficial is like when you're doing an itemized deduction, meaning that, like, for instance, if you're a single individual, the IRS, I believe the current amount is up to like $12,500 that they're giving you as a standard deduction. If you have enough itemized deductions that exceed that amount, then you could be able to tack on or include those charitable deductions. But in most cases, a lot of people don't qualify to exceed their standard deduction. So in most cases, I see a lot of people just take the standard deduction at the end of the day.
Okay. Wow.
One last question before I let you go.
I got one more too.
Oh, you got it? Well,
No, go
two
ahead,
more
go ahead.
questions.
I'll end it.
No, that's okay. Listen, so cryptocurrency. Let me ask you something. Is that something that's taxed? And do you see a lot of that?
So I haven't had the experience with it. I know at the time it was something that was being taxed and everything like that, but it depends on like the amount of like gains that you get from those sales, right? So if you exceed, I believe the limit is $600. If you earn income more than $600 off the sale of those transactions, then you will receive a 1099 form from like that brokerage, whoever that brokerage is, right? And then you'll have to include that activity in your tax return because you got to report those that income that you earn, basically. And then on the flip side, you can also report the losses that you also incurred as well from crypto. But that's just such like a complex situation, and I think a lot of people kind of like stepped away from crypto. Or I haven't seen as many people with the crypto reporting crypto income or activity on their tax return since like the 2020s or 2020 when like COVID, when it was a big thing during that time.
Interesting. Des, I'm gonna let you go after that. I gotta ask you this. You and I go back and forth all the time. Like, so you're a well-rounded guy, very educated, very smart guy. You old and new. I gotta get your take on the Drake Kendrick. I can't let you out of here without the Drake. I know Drake's your guy. I think, right? Drake's your man. I know Wayne's your guy, but I know Drake. You like what Drake does too.
By
So
default, Young Money default. That's all. Young Money default.
You got to give me your take on that. You got to give me your take on that beef.
All right, Kendrick won that hands down. He won it hands down. Overall, Drake is still the better artist, but Kendrick is also like a great artist of his era and everything like that. But yeah, the head-to-head battle, Kendrick won that hands down. I mean, I did like the whole little back and forth that they was doing, but like Kendrick, it's crazy that like that diss, Not Like Us, it's like such a big hit. And I know a lot of people don't like it, but it's like, it's such a big hit, you can't deny it. You get what I'm saying? So like, I got to go with Kendrick on that one.
Okay. I know I had to get your take on that because, we always go back. I think I just text you like, Young and May over Nicki the other day, so you was like, nah, but.
Yeah, no way. We all know Nicki is like the greatest female rapper. Like, come on now.
Well, Des, before we let you go, I know you have a tax service, obviously. Do you want to plug it? Tell everybody where they can find you and how they can get in touch with you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so you can reach out to me on Instagram. The page is at Fulton Core Services. And then another way to like reach out to me and inquire, my cell phone number is 248-770-1718. Then also my email is info@fultoncoreservices.com, info@fultoncoreservices.com. So those are
That's
ways
what's up.
to get in touch with me. So
That's
That
what's
sounds
up.
good.
We appreciate you, young
Yeah,
man.
we appreciate you coming
Thank
in
you very
and,
much.
and talking taxes with us.
Educated.
yeah, man. No,
Educated
man, I
us. Yeah.
appreciate you guys, man.
Yep.
And I know you'll be hearing from me with my taxes.
Me too.
So
Yeah,
I want the
come on
advance.
with
you
it.
got your work cut out for you,
I
buddy.
want the advance.
Come on with it, man. Come on with it. No, I appreciate this, man. Definitely, though. Thank you, guys.
You're gonna have to have at least a month out for mine.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
But thanks,
All
Dad.
right,
I
man.
appreciate you coming out,
y'all,
buddy.
man.
Love you, man.
All right.
Yeah, no problem. Love y'all. Peace.
Des Fulton from Fulton Core Services. He is the tax man, giving us
guru.
the insights, the do's and don'ts today. Listen, before we wrap up the show, we have a segment that we like to end on, and you wanted to rename it.
I
That's
think
just my opinion.
It's just my opinion because
Okay.
everybody took offense, like with the lion stuff and the this and that.
Okay.
It's just my opinion, and I'm going to get into this one.
Okay.
Actually, Sassy touched on it a little bit, so I'm going to get your opinion on it too.
Sure. Let's do
So
it.
there's a thing going around real quick here. Not two of my, favorite guys, but there's the Stephen A. and LeBron James thing going around, right? You heard about that, right? So Stephen A. gets chastised courtside by LeBron. LeBron stands up and says, keep my son's name out of your mouth, or whatever he says to him, I guess. And Stephen A. was just saying that he thought LeBron put his kid in the fire, by bringing him up and,
Sure.
all that stuff. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, in my opinion, I think they both were correct. I think LeBron was being a dad, but at the same token, Bronny's a man. He's a young man, and he's playing pro basketball, and people are going to have their opinion on it, no matter what. So I kind of think, from a parent standpoint, but LeBron also has to remember too, his mom did the same thing to him, and he told her, "Sit down. I got this." Back when he first kind of started out. So I just wanted to say, like, I didn't think it was. I thought Stephen A. was okay with what he did. Normally, I don't agree with the things that he says, but and LeBron was being a parent. He was being a dad, and he was like, "Hey, listen, just." But at the same time, Stephen A. was saying, "Hey, you kind of put your kid in this. Everybody kind of knew he wasn't ready for all this attention, and it is stressful for the kid. Like Sassy was just saying, it could be a bit much. So in my opinion, I just thought both of them were right. I think it was kind of corny on the court chastise, but I thought they could kind of text or talk it out or whatever over the phone or something like that. But in my opinion, I thought they both were right. I'm not taking Steven's side or LeBron's side, but I think from a parent, you always want to protect your kid. And Stephen A. has a job. It's just really opinions now. It's not even journalism. It's pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has a take. So I just thought we'd talk about that a little bit. And I know, had you seen it?
I had heard a little bit about it. I mean, my thing is, you're a pro basketball player now, whether people think you deserve it or not. I think you need to have a thick skin.
Yeah.
And, how many times do we hear Ken Griffey Sr. Say stuff to a reporter that may have said something bad about Ken Griffey Jr.? Yeah.
Right.
He needs a hand. He needs to, put his big boy panties on and either. I think honestly, a lot of times the best thing to do is somebody critiques you or says something that might not be what you want to hear, whether you think it's right or not. It's just don't say anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because to me that just makes everything worse sometimes.
Yeah.
Just go on as if nothing happened.
Nothing. Keep it to yourself.
And if Bronny, you're right. Do I feel like he should be playing in the NBA right now? Probably not.
No.
G League maybe.
Yeah.
for right now. He's a young kid.
Yeah.
But really, I feel like he's going to have to grow a pair to a certain extent and, take the criticism because it's valid.
Yeah, it's valid.
I didn't hear anything that really
Yeah.
was off base.
Yeah. And, LeBron and, they're going to have to, he's a man. He's a young man. So they're going to have to let him, I'm not telling him I'm a parent, but, he is a man and he's going to, and eventually, like I said, he's a kid right now, but he's a young kid, young man. So he's going to hear more, right. But who knows what will happen. Hopefully it'll work out for him. But I just thought both of them were okay. I didn't think it was too bad on each side.
Before I let you, before we
Shout out to
wrap
Hallie,
up,
too, yeah.
Did you see Tracy Morgan at the next game?
Shout out to Hallie. I forgot. You sent me, before we get to Tracy Morgan, you sent me a wonderful post.
Yes, by Big Gretch.
Big Gretch and Halle Berry.
Yeah.
I love you for that. Those are two of my favorite people. Shout out to Hallie. Always. I'm sorry I didn't shout her out last week, but shout out to Hallie. That's my friend.
Shout out to Big Gretch.
Shout out to Sexy Gretch. Absolutely. But yeah, I saw Tracy, and he said food poisoning. It was food poisoning.
That was a lot of food poisoning. He must have ate a lot because that was a lot of.
But
was a lot of.
His face. It's so hard to take him serious. And I'm glad he's doing better. He's okay. But yeah, he was throwing up at the Knicks game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was in. Then you look, he's in the hospital with the crazy face.
Right. It must have been. Yeah. Maybe it was. He had some bad lasagna with 6 different cheeses. I don't know. Maybe that's what. I don't know what it was.
That's too easy. I knew you were. Shout out to Tracy,
man.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, we have enjoyed bringing you the Cohen Bro Opinion Show tonight.
Great show.
Sassy Sarah and Charlie Kraft.
Yep.
And, of course, Des Fulton. We will be on each and every week right here on the Cavana Broadcast Network and My Michigan TV. I'd like to thank Jared, our producer, getting everything rolling.
Jared, man.
And we want to thank Big Dave Scott. Putting this all together for us. And lots to talk about next week. Look for us on the Cobro Opinion Show Instagram. That's where we like to put up all of our posts and information concerning our show.
Can they email us somewhere?
Yeah, they can email us at cobropodcast@gmail.com.
Yep.
And, of course, we'll be back next week also with the Roar Live.
The Roar Live.
Yeah.
Opening day.
Yes.
Tigers, Dodgers. Yeah. Let's go, Scoop. We'll see what you got.
So I'll tell you what. We'll see you next time, folks, right here on the Co and Bro Opinion Show. See ya.